Hi again, and welcome back to Eye of the Beholder, where we review 20 years of Dungeons & Dragons miniatures from 2003 through 2023. We just finished off with the last of the true dragons, and now we move on to the lesser dragons and dragonkin, starting with Dragonnels and Drakes. Let's get started. Dragonnels are simple-minded but loyal and highly desired as mounts. They can grow as large as a true dragon but lack any sort of breath weapon. Best they can do is a roar that can unnerve an enemy caught in the blast. For training, it's best to get them young, or even better, one hatched from an egg, as wild boar Dragonnels are difficult to train, often feigning compliance only to throw their rider off from great heights, which they consider highly amusing.
We get our first Dragonnel in 2022's Fizban's Treasury of Dragons set. This mini would actually make for a great stand-in for your standard green dragon, as he is more impressive than most green dragon minis. Paint is mostly shades of green with a dark wash to highlight details, with a bit of black on the rear claws and a touch of red for the tongue. Pose has him in mid-flight, but with a great arch to the body, indicating to me that he is undulating through the sky. This guy is definitely a wild-born Dragonnel. Score: Paint 23, Pose 25, Playability 25, Pizzazz 22, for a score of 95. Our second Dragonnel comes a year later as a special release with the Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen set. This red Dragonnel has obviously been domesticated, with enameled armor plates running down its spine and a half helm covering its head. The uniform red of the Dragonnel is nicely broken up by the gold filigree of the armor. Another mid-flight pose, but with wings fully extended, as if gliding in for an attack, or, ta-da! A lance attack from his rider, Red Ruin. Red Ruin is yet another marshal in the Dragon Queen's army. Again, no spoilers here. But a mounted knight takes this mini right to the top. Let's give it a 100.
Another cousin to the true dragons are the drakes. There are many, many types, so let's just get into it. Everything you need to know about ambush drakes is right there in the name. Fearless predators with a taste for human flesh, they often hunt in packs like wolves. Pack leaders gain the ability to breathe a poisonous gas, along with a poison bite, which drives the rest of the pack into a killing frenzy.
We get our first ambush drake in 2005's Death Knell set, and believe it or not, this is a rare. A gray body with a red head and forelegs is about it for color. Pose is definitely stalkerish, with its stubby wings, which some ambush drakes are known to have, set close to the body. Playability takes a hit due to its rarity, especially for a creature known as a pack hunter, so score: Paint 15, Pose 13, Playability 11, Pizzazz 12, for a score of 51. Fortunately, WizKids resolves this issue 15 years later by giving us a common ambush drake in 2022's Fangs and Talons set. A green body with lighter green underbelly and back spines, white teeth and a red tongue is a simple but effective paint palette. Pose is low to the ground in a, dare I say, ambush pose. The tail is swinging up to the right, denoting kinetic movement, and his commonality really ups its playability. I have 5. Me? I would use the Death Knell Mini as the pack leader and these guys as the pack. Score: Paint 15, Pose 15, Playability 22, Pizzazz 14, for a score of 66.
Bloodseeker drakes make their one and only appearance in the 4th edition Monster Manual 2, the little guy on the bottom right. Aggressive hunters, their ability to smell blood over great distances makes them excellent trackers.
We get our only Bloodseeker Drake mini in 2009's Dangerous Delves set. The black body really makes the yellow underbelly and crest pop, and the pose, head low to the ground but hindquarters raised, gives the appearance of a pending pounce. It's older but common, so it won't be difficult to acquire, but you should make certain you get at least one stat card because this is not something you're going to easily find the stats on. That being said, it makes for a great creature to spin on the know-it-all in every party. Score: Paint 11, Pose 13, Playability 12, Pizzazz 11, for a score of 47.
Fel drakes are unaligned but good-hearted creatures, created from the blood of the Platinum Dragon himself, Bahamut, as a reward to the elves for helping him defeat a demonic invasion. As such, they are often found in elven communities as guards or even pets.
We get our only Fel Drake, the Crested Fel Drake, in 2003's inaugural Harbinger set. As with most early miniatures, the coloring, brown body with orangish spikes, is lackluster, and the detailing on the sculpt is minimal. Pose is nondescript as well, and playability is meh, so I just don't have a lot to really recommend it. Score: Paint 9, Pose 11, Playability 10, Pizzazz 5, for a score of 35.
Lion drakes, also known as Dragons, are fierce creatures with both draconic and lion-like features. Another creature from the OG Monster Manual, lion drakes are highly territorial, but will give out foes the opportunity to flee before setting upon them with tooth and claw. Unless it's mating season. Do not mess with lion drakes during mating season.
Our first Dragon comes from 2006's War Drums set. This mini closely follows the original creature description of half lion, half brass dragon. A simple but effective paint job, the dark wash really allows visibilities of the brass scales on the body and wings. Pose captures this lion drake in mid-roar. Oh yeah, the roar causes weakness. And while it's hard to see, there is some really amazing detailing work on the face, almost human-like. Score: Paint 16, Pose 16, Playability 18, Pizzazz 16, for a score of 66. "16 years later, we get our second Lion Drake, and wow, what a difference a few additions make. From 2022's Fizzband's Treasury of Dragon, this mini is a carbon copy of the artistic rendering of a 5th edition Dragon. The head is more lynx than lion, with a tawny colored body but definite draconic underbelly. It is definitely a mashup. The wings are correct though, brass dragonish with a slight darkening at the tips. Playability is really up to the DM. Do you prefer the older, classic look of the WOTC version or this updated WizKids mini? Score: Paint 16, Pose 15, Playability 17, Pizzazz 17, for a score of 65.
Guard drakes are created when a dragon willingly donates a scale for the creation ritual, which creates an egg that, when hatched, produces a drake that bonds with whoever feeds it first. Strictly red of tooth and claw, but they do have natural resistance to whatever breath weapon the donating dragon had, fire resistance for red, cold for white, etc., etc.
We get our first Guard Drake in 2008's Demon Web set. Based on color, I believe this one was created by Black Dragon scales, with an added yellowish fringe running the length of the back. Posed like a Jurassic Park raptor, charging forward on its hind legs with its mouth wide open. Not awful, but not great either. I believe you kids would call this mini mid. Score: Paint 10, Pose 13, Playability 13, Pizzazz 11, for a score of 47. WizKids gives us a Guard Drake in its inaugural Tyranny of Dragons set of 2014. obviously created with blue dragon scales, with a bright blue back and legs combined with a bright white underbelly. I also like how the drake has the distinctive nose horn of a blue dragon. Pose has this drake in a classic guard position, on all fours, slightly leaning forward on alert. Great scaling detail as well. Score: Paint 19, Pose 17, Playability 19, Pizzazz 20, for a score of 75. Eight years later, we get our last guard drake in 2022's Fizzband's Treasury of Dragons. Called a green guard drake, with a two-tone green-white body and a lighter green fringe along its back. Pose low to the ground, either stalking an enemy or crouching in the shadows. Overall detailing isn't great, but it is a common mini, so easy to get and therefore very playable. Score: Paint 13, Pose 15, Playability 20, Pizzazz 12, for a score of 60.
Pseudo-dragons, another OG Monster Manual beastie. They are cat-sized drakes with poisonous stingers at the tip of their tail that are highly prized by mages as familiars. Highly intelligent and capable of telepathic communication, they are also excellent mimics of various animal sounds.
This pseudo-dragon from 2007's Unhallowed set is a perfect example why WizKids doesn't do tiny minis. The monochrome brown of the body basically melds into the black base, with only a hint of white fangs to break up the brown. Pose is terrible, sitting passively on its haunches. WOTC even hides its trademark tail stinger under a wing. Screw it, let's move on. Score: Paint 8, Pose 4, Playability 9, Pizzazz 5, for a score of 26. WizKids does a nominally better job 8 years later in 2015's Elemental Evil set. Posing this mini in mid-flight on a small base does wonders for the pose and playability. It's also surprisingly sturdy on such a thin base. Paint-wise, this mini does not even have the touch of white around the jaw that the WOTC version did. Hey, what can brown do for you? Score: Paint 7, Pose 15, Playability 15, Pizzazz 8, for a score of 45. FYI, sorry about the video quality on this one. For whatever reason, the camera would not focus properly on this mini. Even it didn't like it.
Rage drakes are exactly what you're thinking. They are cruel, brutal, and extremely aggressive, with the ability to go into a berserker-type rage 4 times a day. Brave fools have attempted to tame these drakes to use as mounts, but that usually goes poorly.
We get our only Rage Drake mini in WOTC's 2007's Desert of Desolation set. This is a really good miniature. Blood red with a light dark wash to make the details of the body and face pop, but the twin white spurs running down the back and also along the back of all 4 legs takes this mini to another level. Pose has this creature at the onset of its berserker rage, foreleg raised and maw agape, displaying an impressive set of fangs. If you don't own one of these, you should. Score: Paint 22, Pose 20, Playability 25, Pizzazz 25, for a score of 92.
Spiretop drakes, also known as crow's nest dragons, first appeared in the 4th edition Monster Manual. They are flighty creatures of the coast, known for following ships and feeding on the fish in their wake. Considered good luck by sailors, Spiretop drakes are one of the very few drakes that have a breath weapon, albeit a fairly weak cloud of mist similar to a fog cloud spell.
We get our only Spiretop Drake in 2008's Demon Web set. Its pearly white hide is creature correct, and if you look really closely, you can see it also has golden eyes, impressive detailing for a small mini. Posed in mid-swoop, 4 legs barely touching the base, also perfectly captures its curious, flighty nature. I do wish it was a common rather than an uncommon mini, as spire tops are known for swarming, so you need a few. Score: Paint 14, Pose 17, Playability 12, Pizzazz 14, for a score of 57.
Windrakes, also known as storm drakes, make their first appearance in the first edition Monster Manual 2. They are solitary creatures that prefer to live high in the clouds atop mountain peaks. Able to stay airborne for very extended periods, which they do despite the lack of wings, they can also assume gaseous form at will, among a plethora of other magical abilities.
Our last drake is this Wind Drake from 2018's Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica set. You know, for a wingless drake, that's a pretty impressive set of wings you got there. I don't know what else to say about this. Maybe Wind Drakes and Ravnica are of a different breed. I guess we can talk about the paint. A couple of shades of gray with a bit of white on the tips of the wing spars, along the neck and for the fangs. You know, honestly, I'm at a loss on this one, so score paint 12, pose 15, playability, I don't know. Pizzazz 12 for a score of 39.
And that's it for now. We will be finally finishing up with dragons and dragonkins in our next video. If anyone has any suggestions for which group they tackle next, please let me know in the comments below. Giants? Elementals? Goblinoids? Your call. Until next time, thanks for watching Eye of the Beholder.